Who are you?
Sarah MacLeod, from the clan MacLeod.
A Highlander, you say?
Just like you.
What are you?
A ghost?
No. You're an immortal.
Just like you.
Good. That is a perfect place to start.
Here we are, born to be kings, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting to survive in a world with the darkest powers. And here we are, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting for survival. We've come to be the rulers of you all.
Traitor. Heretic. Heathen. The man resplendent in his garb sat between the twin red columns of the palazzo. The target of his wrath, of his spite, of his insult, the dangling body of a failed assassin. Traitor! Heathen! Heretic! And as the crowd watched and agreed, some of them spat, some of them shook their heads slowly, casting eyes into the crowd with knowing glances, for they knew the assassin, Andrea, and they knew his wife. And there she stood, witnessing the destruction of not just her husband's mortal frame, but his immortal memory. Heathen. Heretic. Great with child she stood, her hand creeping up to the bishop beside her, leaning for support, her head resting, going from the dangling body of her husband to the belly beneath her, back and forth, death and life. Heathen, heretic, traitor. Some agreed. Some did not. Some held no emotion for the passing of the assassin, while others held hatred. But the greatest of the emotions for the passing of this man came not from those assembled in body along this spectacle. No, they were there, but they were in the womb. 26 years later, a lifetime for many, we meet the two babes that were de facto witnesses to the end of their father. But before we can go forward, we must go back and figure out, with the passage of these years and these decades, what shapes a child born under such circumstances. But better yet, what shapes twins. And I would like to welcome in my friends Tall and Bird. Please let us know who you'll be playing today. And more importantly, who are they?
I will be playing Matteo Contarini, the son of the traitor, the heretic. And I am always accompanied, most everywhere in life, by my fraternal twin sister.
Hey folks, I am Bird vs. Plane. I'll be playing Loredana Contarini, daughter of the claimed heretic.
And so as these twins have grown under this umbrella and this pre-realization, they were born into the world as the children of a traitor. And so with that mantle laid upon very small shoulders, tell us about the life from then until 26 years later, and then I'll take over.
Well, let's start with a little bit of the now and how it takes us back. 26 years later, it's a starless night over Venice, no moon. And two shadowy figures skulk through the night. But for Matteo, he can't help but think back what this night is the culmination of. It's from his earliest memories, when walking through the marketplaces, when going through the squares of Venice, people would pull away from he and his sister. They would point, almost as though they were branded with the legacy of their father. Of course, the adults knew what they were doing, and children, being children, pick on it quickly. And so children aren't kind when they know they have the blessing of the adults behind their actions. Mercilessly, pretty much through their childhood, Matteo and Loredana were abused by other children, shunned from participation in any of the games or true childhood. There was always a reminder: heretic, the spawn of a traitor. Treachery flows in your blood. It was one day, after years of putting up with this, Matteo found himself alone in the marketplace, which was very rare, for the twins pretty much always stayed together, had each other's backs. But this day he was alone. He was minding his own business, trying to do a little bit of just passing the time. He always liked books, the sights and the smells of the market. And then he was spotted. A couple of the larger, more aggressive children of his age pointed him out, and the chase began. Now, Mateo was always quick. He was good with that. Running between stalls, sometimes knocking over displays or baskets to try to get away, his fear obvious on his face as they chased him. And he ran out of the marketplace down one of the alleyways. Hot pursuit, the children behind him. And Mateo, that fear, if you they would have been able to see him, they would have seen now the smile on his face. He made a quick turn around a corner, and they followed.
Loredana, waiting around the corner, her arm flexed, her fist clenched, saw her brother pass, a smile on her face as well. It was their time to make a statement, their time for the rest of the world to know the truth of the Contarinis. And as that first young boy turned the corner, she was there waiting. She extended her fist as fast and as hard as she can, with the frame that had been growing in strength and power, waiting for this day to come. And that fist connected, using that boy's speed against him. Her fist held firm. The boy's teeth did not. He was knocked to the ground, quickly, falling. Kids behind him, still a good distance away. This young boy was quite fast, not as fast as Mateo, though, just as they had planned. That boy now on the ground, Loredana looked down below, put one leg over top of him, and bent down, grabbed the boy by the collar, and pulled her arm back again. She waited for a moment for the children to catch up, and they did. And as soon as they turned that corner, her eyes went from them back to the young boy. She laid another punch into him before returning her gaze to theirs. The Contarinis are faithful. Another punch. The Contarinis are devout. Another. The Contarinis are God's people. Before a final blow. She dropped the boy, now standing above him. Looking at them, her hands covered in blood. Daring them to give chase, to make a move, to doubt her faith, her will, her strength. The Contarinis were not heretics, they were not traitors. They were God's chosen. And through him, all things are possible. She waited. Children looked around, unsure of what to do before backing away. She looked around before finding Mateo's gaze as well. Smile back on her face.
Should we go find the next ones?
In the name of our fathers.
And so it went. As a name sundered before birth was rebuilt by the speed of Mateo and the fist of Loredana. But that was then, and now is now. February 14th, 1456. 26 years old, the twins are on the rooftops. But where are they on the rooftops?
It was a strange path that we took across the rooftops. for many people watch the rooftops in Venice. But they'd had 26 years to plan, to think, to let this stew upon their minds and their training each other. When they weren't reminding people who the Contarinis were, they often sparred against each other, knowing what their true prey was. And these 26 years later, you would find them atop of the Doge's palace, ready to finish the work that their father had not been able to complete.
They began to move the grand balcony where the Doge would stand, overseeing the city. Funnily enough, a few stories above those red columns he stood between when he labeled their family as heretics. Tonight, they would find justice, not only for themselves, not only for their father, but for the Lord. For a man such as this could no longer wear the cloth. A man such as this could no longer refer to himself as holy.
And this man, this Francesco Foscari, who was the architect of the demise of the family, of many families, this religious figure, this man of the cloth, he had raised an army in Venice, a de facto group of brutes. He had taken many wives, often at the same time. For a few years, though, he had left the public's eye. He could be seen every night from the balcony upon which you spoke, watching, lording over his city on earth. And it is there that he is right now, watching the city beneath his thumb. And he never thinks to look to heaven, where his God supposedly remains. For if he had, he may have seen his death descending. But he is not a God-fearing man. He's just a man given too much power. What will you do, twins?
There's no hesitation for Loredana. She, all these years, hearing from her uncle, the good man that her father was, and how there is wrong and injustice in the world, but God will take care of it. God will come to judge both the quick and the dead. God will sort it out. Loredana heard these words, but took a more proactive approach to them. If God truly would sort it out, then nothing could stop her from her mission. Certainly this was God's plan. Certainly this was his will. This is what God needed to have done. So nothing could prevent her from getting it done. Though her brother was quick and nimble, Loredana, a powerhouse, and often that strength, that power would lead to impulsion. Knowing the twins were so close, she is no longer able to hold back. Loredana makes a move, perhaps too quickly, perhaps quicker than she should on these slanted roofs. But she goes with intent to drop and kill the Doge.
Matteo is watching, the careful one, the one who rooftops are all but sidewalks for, and he sees that spark of zealous rage fill Loredana, and sees her eyes intent on their prey that we could both see. He's watching her. He knows she's better, sure-footed on the ground, her weight firmly planted, not upon gutters and tiles of the rooftops. So he sees as her foot slips. And instead of heading towards the Doge at the columns, starts to head down the side, the other side of the palace, sliding. He leaps to try to catch her and grabs her arm, but Mateo's not the strong one. He's fast. And so her momentum, as they hold on to each other, takes them both off the palace rooftops towards the unforgiving concrete below.
And as they smash into the stone, death is not instantaneous, for a life fueled by revenge is not snuffed so cleanly by the callous work of stone. It is left to linger until it fades. And for a moment, the pair of you look into the eyes of the other. Through a red tinge as blood leaks down in an almost identical mark across each of your foreheads. You see one another's eyes and know that the life that you've shared for 26 years ends now. In these final moments, what do the twins do?
Loredana looks around for a moment. This can't be the end. This is not how this is supposed to go. This is God's will. This is what he ordained. This is what she has been praying for and has believed in her entire life, that good will triumph over evil, that evil men must be destroyed. Her father was innocent. He had to have been. He was no heretic. He was a good, holy man. These two, these twins, they are holy. They carry out his name. She looks around for anything, any last respite, any last way to stay alive. And looking around, she can see the place they fell. Those damn red columns that Doge stood in when he sealed their father's fate. They lay in front of them now, spilling their own crimson in the palazzo. And doubt fills her mind for the first time in her life, as all she can do is return her eyes to her brother. And feebly, weakly, reach out a hand. The same hand she just held, the same hand that dragged him to his death.
Mateo, there, quickly in his intellect, doing an assessment of the damage to himself, knows this is his end, and looks to maybe could he have somehow helped soften the blow so his sister will go on. And as he turns his gaze, he sees that's just not the case. So he looks up to the stars. And as he does, just like Loredana can't help but see those damn red columns that have cursed their lives since before they were born, lying now in the shadow of them, that even in their death, those columns, sentinel over the palazzo, even in death, cast their shadow upon the two Contarini twins.
And with that shared glance to both twin and column, the light fades. As breath returns into the lungs of the twins, bones snap back into place. Those that were dislocated find purchase in a proper form. The blood ceases to flow. The twins remain, as do the columns overhead. Maybe God has answered.
Lordana?
Perhaps her body, her broken body, she can remember the sensation of her limbs breaking. Now whole, she looks at Mateo. First puzzled, but then perhaps he recognizes it, perhaps he doesn't, but that same smirk she shared with him in that alleyway years ago. She would think of this moment for the lifetimes to come, for laying there. That would be the last moment she ever felt doubt. She just grins. Mateo, breathing heavy. It's not our time, brother.
It's not possible, and yet it's what's happened.
She reaches her hand out again.
Clasping forearms, I think.
This time, the grip not weak and feeble. This time, the grip strong. Through him, all things are possible. Her eyes go to the grand balcony before turning back to Mateo. Just full of wonder, but also duty, of knowledge. She's been given a mission. They both have. Mateo, it's true. We are chosen.
There is greater purpose in this than we know. And seeing her eagerness to literally probably storm the Doge, he tightens his grip on her arm.
I think so. I think she goes to move, and you almost force her back down.
Not tonight. If we have been chosen, this shouldn't just be a skulking assassination in the night. This should be a statement.
It takes her a second. She's so ready to do this now. She thinks about it. Again, that smirk. A message.
God's own will. He sent a message 26 years ago about our family. It's time for us to return that message in time. All to see.
There is a shower of sparks off to your right as the brand that the Doge had used to light his pipe was cast down. And in that fall and scatter of ember, he leaves the balcony, returning inside again. But let's not end with this lovely fellow right now. Tell us, my friends, what do the twins have in mind?
Mateo and Lordana have always confided in their uncle. And so they first go to him. Let him know the miracle that has occurred And as they talk to Maffio Contarini, who is a holy man himself, he cannot deny that this must be God's will and that there is much work, messy work, that the church must often do. But as Matteo had suspected, the church sometimes works as a mystery, but other times works in signs. And so the two of them lock themselves away and come up with a plan.
And how is this plan executed? Pardon the pun.
Mm-hmm. You want to take this one, Bird?
I think a year passes. A year goes by. The twins work to refine themselves, to build themselves, to ensure what happened last time couldn't possibly happen again. They spend the year bettering themselves, strengthening themselves, preparing. But they know what happens next could not be done in the Contarini name. That's simply man killing man. That's revenge. It's petty. It's empty. What happened next would have to be a sign from God. So, Matteo and Loredana, they aren't the ones to return to the Palazzo. No. Different figures do. Cloaked figures. Figures hidden. These figures return to the Palazzo that night, wearing dark cloaks, hiding their identity with a fine, bright, white Venetian mask with intricate etching and fabrics covering the eyes. Perhaps a little on the nose, but we all know that justice is blind, right? These two return for their unfinished business.
So the two of them, once again, through the night, cross the rooftops, drop in to the balcony, flanking.
I was just going to say that perhaps it is perhaps a reunion with this rooftop and what it meant to you all a year ago. But as you approach, you feel a strange pit in your stomach, a nausea that seems to mirror and mimic what you felt before your fall. Passes, but it is similar. Please proceed.
Matteo, not being superstitious, doesn't allow those thoughts to enter his head, for he's caught a little bit of his sister's confidence and her zealous belief. Death didn't take us before, and no roof is going to take us again. He keeps an eye on Loredana, but their plan is sound. Behind these masks of white faces and blindfolded eyes, in the dark robes of the Venetian carnival, the idea, the plan is to drop down on either side of the Doja, there on the grand balcony, to flank him and to let him know that he has been judged by the saints themselves.
And so if that is the plan, that is what is executed as the pair of you drop down, and there he stands. Traitor. Heathen. And he turns and looks, and in this light he seems young. But his eyes seem old as he sees the two of you, surprised by your appearance. Just inside, his bedchamber is available, and you see children running through as none of them bear witness or approach the balcony, as this must be designated his space. But the family that destroyed yours seems to be very strong here. But his eyes show a weakness as he sees what you are. But he still reaches for a sword.
Mateo and Loredana expected this. They've been planning for a year. And Mateo, confident, begins to walk forward as Loredana doesn't change her position. He does not draw his sword. He puts his hands to either side and says, "You are to be judged. You have spoiled your good name, and there is no stopping what is coming for you." And he walks into the sword.
The eyes of the man go wide as he was ready to protest. Who are you to judge? As he watches you pierce yourself on the sword. My God, and the sword goes limp in his grasp, and he reaches for the cross dangling around his neck. Heathens! Demons!
As he reaches for that cross, Loredana comes aside of Mateo, her rapier aiming for his hands. Knowing his proclaimed holiness, of course, he would react this way, but that cross is no longer his. It never was. It's theirs. And she will attempt to pierce not only his hands, but pierce through him, as he goes to make a move to grab their holy symbol.
And you do. And with that thrust, as both hands leave his sword to grab at the crucifix, they are pierced through, piercing the chain into his chest, a forced stigmata on this very unpious man. He begins to gargle as the last of his breath creeps from his stilling heart. And from the doorway you hear, "Papa?"
Mateo turns to the child and goes, "Saint Luciano has brought his judgment upon your house. Tell your family."
The young girl looks to her father, to your masked faces, as the first tears begin to go down from her green eyes. And she turns and screams And as she runs off screaming, you hear the sounds of the entire villa begin to scream, as no one knows exactly what is wrong, but when there is a problem, word comes from on high. But not this time. As the last beats, as he sits speared on your sword and you on his. What do you do with him?
Oh, the columns. We string him up between the columns. Still pinned.
They take the rope, they make a quick noose, one that was already prepared around his neck, and drop him. They had planned this for a year. And now his body swung between those blood-red columns. Judgment has come for the Doge. The Lord's judgment.
And in Italian below it, pinned to his body, traitor, heretic, heathen.
And that is the story. Whether the little girl or the note or just the faith of the pious in Saint Luciano, someone that has freed them, a figure that challenged the unchallengeable. His body is found, and again a collected group that once stared upon the hanging form of your father now stares upon him, and there is a mixture of emotion, happiness, but not so much rage. And the years pass. And as the years pass, as what once was in the city of Venice becomes a distant memory, we have the rise of a new power, one that seems to be guided by a hand of righteousness, a hand of God, as the vindicator and freer of Venice continues to appear. But that is not my story to tell, twins. What becomes of this figure you've created, this myth?
Saint Luciano, a name taken specifically for its meaning, to illuminate, to bring light, does just that. So the saint is a rare appearance, but always on the hushed tones and whispers of those who feel the need or the desire or want to transgress against the church or just against their fellow man. Saint Luciano becomes, as you said, this mythic figure, one that's a little tough to believe in, one that many aren't even sure exists, but nonetheless lead to some second thoughts.
The tone of the city changes, of a place that had sort of was descending into corruption. Mafia, their uncle, has become the patriarch of the city, a spiritual leader. And the forces that were dragging the city down find themselves judged, find themselves upon those red columns. Not many, but enough. And word spreads. This is a new dawn in Venice. This is a new era, one of light and true piety.
And with that, the flavor of the day. And with that area of the city secure, what do the twins do when not behind the mask? How do they live their lives? Are they stoic? Are they pious? Are they introverted or extroverted? Are they a mixture? What has become of the twins?
The thing is, when you accept immortality, when you accept that you no longer age or have pain linger, injuries sustain themselves, you need to reevaluate some things. What does it mean to live? Is death even a possibility? Loredana and Matteo are faithful members of the church, and they do believe in an everlasting life in heaven, but if you can't die, what does that mean? Does that mean your heaven is never granted? And as the acting hand of the church, certainly the Lord would want to reward his chosen too. So I would say their downtime, they make their downtime special enough. They understand that there may not be everlasting peace and paradise for them, but damn it, they're heavens now. They'll take what they want, do as they want, and make every day worth living in this beautiful world they're building.
What is on one of those days in this new Eden that, Matteo, you are walking through the same marketplace that was once your hunting grounds, where you would lure in the fish and allow your sister to, well, put them to stake. Again, you feel that strange feeling in your stomach, that weightlessness, that nausea. And this time, though, it becomes more pronounced, more focused. And off to the right, you see a man dressed in a military uniform of the Italian army as he looks at you all. He looks at you, Matteo, and begins to walk toward you.
Matteo, seeing someone from the Italian army is not unheard of in Venice. And with a smile, greets him. Thank you for your service. Good day to you. May
He ignores you and walks right up into your confidence, breaking a space and a decorum that is bad form. That alley over there. Tonight at midnight, I'm challenging you.
I know not of what you speak.
What do you mean? The
I do
game.
not know. There is a lovely casino. In fact, my sister and I are going to a party this evening. You're welcome to join us. We both do love a man in uniform.
Don't be foolish. You've been challenged. That alleyway at midnight. All of these bugs that you are currently fond of, I will dice until you are man enough to face me. That is the way it works. You have been challenged. And he keeps his voice down as he looks around. Midnight, in that alley. Don't make me come looking.
Are you threatening this city, friend?
City, are you daft? I am challenging you to a duel.
Oh, I don't duel, but thank you so much. However, your statement about the citizens.
He pulls a knife from his belt. You foolish. He drags it along his palm and holds it up. And as you watch the blood spill down his wrist, down his forearm, the wound begins to close. I don't care if you don't know what the rules are. That alley, midnight. Or if you're so fond of this city, I'll begin killing every person I see.
Mateo gives a smirk. And probably stands there dumbstruck until he walks away.
He eventually does.
And then goes and finds Loredana.
Loredana is nearby,
As we always try to stay fairly close together.
and she is deep, deep in her bottles. It's not late, but it takes a lot for an immortal to get drunk these days. As just several empty bottles of wine on the table in front of her. At this point, she's given up on the glass in general. That deep red beneath the lips whenever she talks or opens her mouth too widely. Mateo! Oh, join me, brother. It's a beautiful day.
Loredana,
Yes, brother.
I need you to concentrate for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, scripture. I know, your theology now. Okay. Have some water here. Hands her a big glass of water. Drink this and listen. Have you ever wondered if we've been chosen by the Lord? If there's others who were not perhaps chosen by Lucifer? I think I've just met one.
I'm
He's
sorry.
challenged me.
When? Where? What? Sorry. She takes a second and she will just go ahead and like pound that glass of water. I'm sorry.
Tonight, an agent of Lucifer wants to duel.
All right. I suppose we should ready the saint then, yes?
I guess so.
She can sense the hesitation, the confusion in his voice. But again, even in this state, there is not a shred of doubt.
Yeah.
Loredana feels comfortable just living this lifestyle, living the way she does. They are invincible and they're chosen. So hearing this is almost this excitement, this readiness.
It's a new type of foe, but I think it could get interesting.
Midnight, you said, yes?
Yes.
Great. Have a seat. And she passes the bottle his way.
Mateo looks at it for a second, and then he drinks too.
Okay, so as the twins take this very seriously, and as they live heaven on earth, as is their way and their wont, we will cut to midnight in the aforementioned alley, the soldier stalking up and down. And I do believe at some point he would feel a queasiness in his stomach as the saint approaches.
Yes.
Interesting choice of apparel. Hopefully you brought a sword. He pulls out a saber from his sheath.
And the saint approaches. A little stumbly, maybe. Perhaps not walking with as much dignity and grace as the saint should, but there is this looseness to it. And you can see the mask turn towards the saber being pulled and gives a nod and reveals their own rapier. Moves the shoulders, cracks the back, and just shrugs, almost waiting daringly for the man to make the first move.
And make it he does, as he launches into a practiced swipe above his head, seeming to come down toward your sword arm shoulder. I'm going to need you to make a speed defense as this first attack hits.
Okay, Greg, can you walk me through? Okay, skill speed, I got this. Right? Is that it?
That is perfect. And it's a good roll. So with an 18, what that's going to do is not only do you beat the attack that was given, you are immediately able to launch one of your own. So this is not your turn, but you may pick to do one, as this is how we've been playing it thus far.
Oh, that rules. I'll tell you what. As this attack comes in, I'm assuming this drunken levity is almost making it easier to kind of sway with these motions and avoid the attack. So again, tell me if I'm doing this correctly. I would like to use a might attack to attempt to control the field by burning, by spending, is it an effort or spending something from my might pool?
Yep, you only spend one from your might, but you already have the ability to absorb that anyway, so it's a free action for you. So just go ahead and tell me what you'd like to do and launch your attack. If it hits, it does one less damage, but you tell me where you put the soldier in the course of the fray.
As he comes with the sword, or his saber and misses, all she really wants to do, again, this is kind of, as Mateo put it, a new foe, something interesting. She's not going for a killing blow. She wants to see what this person's made of. So it's going to be like a slash to the back of the knee or to the leg, just to try to kind of wound him, not fatally, but almost as an insult.
Roll me that might attack then.
Cool.
Two is all you needed as you're controlling the field here. And so you damage, dealing 3 damage, 1 minus what you can normally do. So tell me, as the blow strikes the back of the knee, there's a wince in pain as the soldier begins to spin, but with that spin becomes, as is often the one of immortals, a dance. Where do you round and round this immortal?
Now I spin that immortal. So now the saint is where he initially entered the alley, and the immortal is where the saint initially entered the alley. And again, almost this flippant, as the saint goes in just for a sharp thrust, the same location where she had killed the Doge Vascari, just going for upper chest, seeing what this person's made out of, seeing how immortal they truly are.
So you see them take this shot that would have and had dropped the Doge, but it does not drop this man as he grabs, and you see the stain smear across and through the shirt that's covering the chain that he wears as he, I'll have your head, mask or no mask. And he readies to strike, but because you have another attack, please go right ahead.
Excellent. Hey, there's almost this like disbelief at first. Not doubt, just kind of confusion for a moment of, I should have done something, right? Perhaps she's a little too intoxicated for this. She's just gonna try again. She wants to really figure out what's going on with this. So one more thrust directly to the torso. If anything, if it doesn't hurt him, at least it should incapacitate him, slow him down. Something directly to your bread box has gotta slow you. Oh, jeez.
Ouch.
Yeah, so
like
with
Cypher.
an additional damage point delivered, this is 5 damage with a thrust into the gut. So tell me, you can be as graphic or as less graphic as you'd like as far as how you deal this, but we're assuming there was a shot to the bread basket. What does the Saint do to gain further position?
There is this thrust directly into and through him. Again, immortal, so what should be fatal isn't. But as her rapier pierces him, again, that confusion about what's happening, but just to throw him off balance still, while it's in, this taunting, almost jiggling and swirling of the rapier inside of him, just to stir whatever is in there. This man is chosen or blessed like they are. If he is a demon, she aims to dismantle him and figure out. So it is just this shaking, trying to open that wound even further.
He, what the hell is wrong with you? As he begins to try to like force himself and you off the blade, and he is going to swing with an attack. I need you to take a might defense as he is basically baseball swinging here.
Sorry, I need to add a might defense. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Or you can just roll a... Let me jump over and pull you up real quick, so... Boo. Let me see. Oh, just roll a defense. You already have one. On your might, it's at the very bottom of your might column on the right. Yep.
Okay, I just added it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, it should be the 11 there.
Okay, yep, so that's enough to beat what he was doing, but you notice too in this effect that he was going directly for your neck. It was as if he was trying to cleave head from shoulders, and he pulls himself off of your blade. Enough of this. Your head, I'll have it. You can dance like this if you wish, but we all know there's only one way. It's your attack.
So, back to
your
me.
action. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, she'll learn. She'll almost take that again. This is still kind of fun to her. She hasn't been hit once, so if it's off with your head, it's off with your head. She'll aim for the neck and just do a little pokey. She'll try to go for a poke right through here.
This is why St. Luciano is, legend.
Right. So with that, which delivers 6 additional damage to this NPC immortal, nameless and will forever be nameless, how does St. Luciano dispatch their first immortal?
Again, she's unsure of what's happening, but go for the head. Sure, I'll go for your head. And I think when she initially does it, it's almost more of this taunting, like she's just going for somewhere in the upper torso again. And perhaps as she kind of lunges, a little drunkenly still, it does pierce directly into his neck and deep as well as he stumbles forward. And sure enough, she's neck deep with a rapier in this man. And she goes to almost like push him off. It's not happening. And this man is just gurgling and making noises. And she's not here for this. So again, it is this almost just trying to get herself unstuck.
You know what? Here's what we're going to do here. Because this is a rapier and this is not a cleaving weapon, I would like you to make another might defense as this poor bastard with a rapier through his neck spins and attacks you. Now, this one's going to have a higher to miss because he's right on top of you. Okay, this one, you feel a bite in your upper thigh as a line is drawn. And with that turn, the rapier in your hand still skewered through the neck. And he's sweeping back and forth, trying to keep you at bay as he's grabbing the rapier and pulling it out of his throat until it clatters to the ground. And his eyes are a mixture of disbelief and what the hell is wrong with you? Like, as he's just grabbing at his neck with the blood coming out, but you do feel that line atop. Any normal mortal would be dead at this point, but because this wasn't a severing shot, you're not sure exactly how this will affect him. But you do know that you were hit as well for 4 damage.
So, seeing the hit on St. Luciano, Greg, what's the spend?
I will, since this is going to be a speed move here.
Yep.
I'll take 6. This cat's not watching too well. He's
okay. As he spins around and tries to pull the rapier out in a lightning quick motion, the St. Luciano that was hit in the thigh is replaced with an identical St. Luciano who steps into the fray and looks at this immortal, now grievously injured but still alive, and prepares to attack.
Go right ahead. And whether or not he witnessed the tag team, right, Hawk, the tagging in of Mateo, it's lost as this soldier realizes the end is near, and now it's more of just a hope against hope. So whatever attack you'd like to fire, my friend.
What I would like to do, having seen and sort of heard some of this, is Mateo was lurking in the shadows, where the rapier of his sister is now been pulled out one side and is somewhat sealed. He is going to take his rapier and grab the other side in his gauntleted hand and basically use it as a garrote to then cut through you. As a rapier is not your normal type weapon, but it is a nice thin blade for a garrote.
It is, and we will definitely take it as such. So just any attack that you would like to use, as this, he has 1 hit point. This guy is
I think this is with some speed as he's going to get in there, or do I need to spend or such just in case?
No. I mean, you can if you wish, but we're looking at a very minor difficulty here, as this guy's basically a scarecrow at this point.
Okay, we'll call him a swipe. Good thing it's low.
it was a 1. So, as you bring both of them through in the way that you wished, the head comes clean from the body, and there is a storm that seems to come from out of the crystal clear night sky of midnight. And for the first time that you would know, or any of the immortals would know, twin bolts of lightning shoot from the sky and take both Mateo and Loredana, and you all feel this surge of pain and adrenaline and memories that are not your own flash between you. And for a moment, you can see yourself through the eyes of your twin as this quickening occurs. But as soon as it was here, it disappears. And you are lying on the smoking floor of this alleyway, very similar to where you found yourself after your first death, looking at one another.
Divine providence?
Certainly. That happened, right? You removed that man's head, and then lightning hit us, yes? That happened?
And he did not die until the head was off. How to dispatch of devils.
You both feel a queasiness in your stomach. A figure appears in the alleyway, the darkened marketplace behind. A step, 2 steps, the ambient light of the stars returning after the mysterious clouds disappear, and you see a man dressed in the garbs of a father, of a priest. He creeps forward and takes the wide-brimmed hat off, and he says, "That's against the rules."
What?
Probably the first person who's seen 2 Lucianos since the Doge.
We're going to cut to the bar that the two of you frequent the most. We are, pardon my, I will say that whether you dispatch the empty bottles in front, whether the new friend has done so, or it is a collective effort, as dawn approaches, there are bottles aplenty upon this. The innkeeper, the barkeep, long since asleep. The gold given to them, more than enough to keep it open for the 3 of you. As the man with long gray hair that hits his shoulders, finely cut beard, has introduced himself as Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez. And as he looks at the 2 of you, he repeats something that he has been saying for several hours. "You're immortal. You cannot die unless someone takes your head. Holy ground you're safe on. When someone challenges you, it must be 1 versus 1. You cannot do what you've done. Leniency will be given but once. You did not know, but now you do. You cannot fight them together. You must fight them alone when a challenge comes. Do you understand?"
No. Not at all. You're telling me there's people like us, people who can't die. You're telling me they have to have their heads lopped off. You're telling me
Yes.
that there's some cosmic force enforcing a series of rules. I don't care. I'm not afraid of any of that. You understand that, right? You can see it in my eyes, correct?
I understand your bravado. It's misplaced. There are rules that are beyond us. You must accept them.
She looks at Mateo with this absolute confusion. Just, who is this man, and how dare he claim that there is something more powerful than what they have faith in? I mean, look at the two of them.
Mateo puts on his intellect. So you say that there's others like us, and that there are these rules that are unbreakable, that are enforced, and yet, without very much difficulty, we broke them.
I was going to say, you serve the Lord Almighty. I believe he has 10 rules that are broken quite frequently every day, and seldom do you see retribution.
We are the Lord's retribution.
For the whole world?
For our piece of it.
Let me put it to you this way. When they find out, they will come for you. There will not be an offer of 1 versus 1. They will come for you en masse. They will kill you in front of one another.
So, if we keep this up, this act, the saint, you're telling me the rest of these people will come to us so we don't have to go find them? Ramirez, it's great news. And that was child's play.
They are all not so young.
I can't see an issue with us continuing doing what we're doing. They can go off and do whatever they want to do in worship of their own heresy.
Lies, fakes, half-truths, yes.
And if they show up here, we will kill them. The saint will kill them. Let it be known that Venice is protected by Saint Luciano, and Saint Luciano follows the rules of the Lord, which have anointed us to do his bidding.
She raises a glass of wine. I'm sorry, a bottle.
For a moment, this man you've just met, there's a hint of sadness in his eyes. I would beg you to reconsider. There are others who have tried these things. They have banded together. They do not send 1 at a time. They'll send 50, 100. Enough.
If we are discovered. And have any others been of the same womb, of the same blood? My sister and I are one. We just happen to be in 2 separate bodies. Have you ever met another set of twins?
He stands up and puts the hat on. I have met others born under the same stars. But no, never twins.
Well, be sure not to let anyone know that you've met any yet. If anyone asks, there's a Venetian protecting his city.
I will keep your secret. I would beg you, as the years go by, just think there there's a difference between faith and fact.
We have no interest in your game. Go play headhunters in the sandbox. We'll be doing
I think it's that sentence that the levity and easiness of Lord Donna leaves, and the bottle hits the table as she just looks at Ramirez. It's time to go.
Yes, it is. And he leaves the bar. And the years pass. Quite a few of them. So as we rejoin the path of the immortals, it is at this time that we are in 1929, February 14th, 1929. We are in a warehouse, South Side. It is 2122 North Clark Street in Chicago. There has been an awakening among the American populace. They want their booze. This is not a religious fight. This is not the precepts of a faith dished out by the arm of St. Luciano. This is the need to quench a thirst. But the twins and another Italian, a Roman by the name of Tiberius, have found themselves in Chicago. Now, as immortals are often wont to do, once they are able to recognize one another, there is either an offer of passing or an offer of challenge. Tiberius, you have realized with your extended abilities that Matteo is in fact one of your ilk. And as you have met here in this warehouse to talk or do other things, I will leave the entire setup up to our twins and up to our Tiberius. But all Italians present, tell me how this scene plays out, as this is simply eons in the making, as one side meets another for the purposes of parlay or punishment. Tell me how it goes.
I think the biggest thing is through the years, Matteo and Loredana have realized that sinking sensation. And so they are never seen far apart. And being twins, their sign of the quickening that runs through them, while not identical, takes very close proximity to recognize that they both, in fact, are immortal, that it's not just a single immortal. Part of their keeping discreet about their methods. Again, they have not sought out any other mortals. They have done God's work, which happens right now to align with their being able to keep their heaven on earth. Their heaven being now of representing the Italian interests in Chicago. So Tiberius would find the two of them probably together in a back room somewhere, conducting the business of bringing drink to America.
And Tiberius, his senses, what they are, being able to sense from far away, it might be a little muddled considering the two of y'all spend so much time so close to one another. So maybe what threw him off in his search, because for almost 300 years, he has been searching for one immortal. One single man. No, one monster. He's heard tale of this person, and he's felt this collection of energy this night, and it's probably because there are two immortals so close to one another that it probably is why he has been drawn to this warehouse by mistake. But there he is, long trench coat, covering his obvious bulk, and when he enters, he just looks around, takes a deep breath, and closes his eyes and listens to the quickening, to the beat, and he prepares to dance. And so he begins walking into the warehouse.
In a shorter proximity or halo than Tiberius would have needed, you all would feel that quickening and that rush probably around the same times that you would hear the footfalls in the warehouse. Whether you were in a back room, in the warehouse proper, there seems to be someone that makes that funny feeling.
I kind of think that we're in one of those sort of weird little office spaces that's like, a big multi-story thing that's like there's this one little small room or office. And Loredana, I'd love to think Loredana is actually the person behind the desk, and that it's Mateo who is doing the part of sort of the lesser in rank, because why not? It pisses off people to have Loredana be the person they have to deal with. And so Mateo would go out to the door and open it and look and sort of appraise this figure that's coming toward them.
I think real quick, as you go to the door, Loredana, sensing this as well, just looks up, not afraid, just curious, kind of questions you. You think they've come to collect?
I think it would be more overwhelming if it was Ramirez's threat. We've bumped into one or two others that have gone on their way. Talk first, perhaps. But be
Hearing
ready.
talk first, she will kind of give him this look that basically insinuates that's you, man. Because Loredana does not have much of a patience when it comes to this sort of thing anymore. So go ahead.
I know we're immortal, but I don't have all night. I can feel you. I'm sure you can feel me. Let us be on with it. Echoes through the warehouse.
She sighs, kind of sloshes this glass of whiskey next to her, and rolls her eyes. Talk, huh? All right. Gets up from behind the desk, begins to join Mateo.
He puts his hand on her shoulder. Remember, part of the scripture is to teach. Put your feet up on the desk. Patience is a virtue, sister. And Mateo opens the door and sees him and says, "Shall we have a drink first?" Motioning to Tiberius.
And at that, you actually see Tiberius's his shoulders kind of slump, and his kind of mood shifts just a little bit. What are you called?
These days, Matt.
You have not been known by the name Onye?
No, and as you look at Mateo, he is in a very slim cut suit. He is not a heavily built man at all. In fact, he's very slightly built, whereas Loredana is more heavier built. So truly, the two of them, even though they're male and female, have all but the exact same build as part of their subterfuge. So, because I watched the show, knowing you've seen Onye before, I'm sure, yes, no, or have I encountered anyone of that name?
Count yourself lucky. Matt.
Crude, yeah?
Yes.
Most things these days are.
What were you known as? I am Tiberius.
Mateo from Venice.
Ah. And you see a little bit of that tension go back into his spine. Where's the other one?
At that, Mateo raises his eyebrow, as very few people know that there is two Venetians and not one. We should have a drink. I think I insist. It's quite good.
I'm sure it is. And Tiberius takes another few steps towards Mateo and stops. Let us have a drink out here.
While I don't play your game, I have been briefed. You will find that my sister and I have consecrated the ground within the office, if that makes you more comfortable.
You have you? That's why you cling to its ground. It's probably smart. And Tiberius walks forward. Now, Greg, the feeling of consecrated ground, is that something that immortals sense?
Nope.
Yes? No?
Not at all. It's something that consecrated ground is simply adhered to. It's not, they don't know when they're on it unless they are told that they are on it. As I was doing a tremendous amount of history, apparently Vesuvius was caused when an immortal inadvertently attacked another immortal on holy ground, which I thought was especially interesting, and I will tell you about it, Pruitt. As apparently in the canon, that's what happened when that popped off. So now you can't tell one way or the other, taking another immortal's word for it. Most of it's obvious, but saying that you've consecrated a bootlegger's warehouse office, whether Tiberius wants to believe that or thinks it would work, totally up to him.
Tiberius walks up to the door of the office and waits for Mateo to retreat into the office.
Yeah, Mateo retreats, probably leans on the front of the desk. You would see Loredana with her feet up on the desk behind. Meet Tiberius, sister. He's here to see the Venetians. And I look pointedly at her.
And eyebrows go up for a second before dropping back down. Still Tiberius, though, huh? In this day and age, Tiberius?
Yes. I don't feel the need to hide.
It's not about hiding. It's about not having a goofy name. Tiberius. Let me get you a drink. And she will offer him.
She's the talker, huh?
Drinker.
Those two generally go hand in hand, from my experience.
So you knew about the Venetians, but you raised no weapon here. You seem to be alone. May I ask what brings you to our little neck of the woods?
I sensed a power at a distance. I thought it was one I've been searching for quite a while. Turns out it's you two. Oh, I've heard about you. Ramirez, he can get drunk. He's an older one. It might have slipped. You reject the game, I see.
It's a
Not
game.
our game.
Yes.
You clearly do not. You are seeking power, seeking someone. Who are you looking for? Perhaps we've run across them on our travels. Perhaps we've taken care of them for you.
He has a couple of names he used to go by. I'm not sure if he still clings to them. Onye, the Mad Eagle. Have you heard of this person?
Greg, have we had any... What do you think? It's two people who are not actively involved in the game have thoughts or whispers of Onye or Mad Eagle or anything.
No, Onye wouldn't have been very obvious, but Tiberius has the aid of a firsthand knowledge when Bree died. So he has the witnesses that watched. You wouldn't know. Onye isn't the Kurgan. Onye, people that know Onye don't tell the story about it.
Right.
So.
Doesn't ring a bell, but I do love a good story. Tell me of this Onye. Is it its power you seek? Is it a wrong that must be righted? Is it love? Is it desire? What is it? Tiberius, tell me.
And he kind of narrows his eyes. Well, as it is in life, it is generally a mix of all of those things, isn't it? Love, power, things that were taken before their time. So yes, I do seek these things. I seek all of them.
She definitely leans forward when you say things taken before their time. Kind of the frivolity dropping a bit, not completely, but a bit. As she pushes the whiskey more towards you, almost out of a sense of, please drink.
Yeah, he still has made no move towards a drink, because he's just kind of standing there. Maybe light just overhead, casting kind of long shadows over him.
You said it yourself with Ramirez. Drink loosens tongue. Please, join us. What was taken?
Another like us.
But is that not the nature of your game?
Yes, this was back before, when I didn't really participate. When I used this gift as I saw it, this blessing from a god. Surely Mars gave this to me. Surely Vulcan crafted me with his own hands. Nothing could be like me. I'm immortal. I cannot die. I'm sure you've had similar thoughts. I'm sure you've kept these thoughts. But do you know what it's like to see your gods replaced by others? To watch those gods fall as the time just bleeds through your fingers?
She leans forward. I don't.
Yes, I can see it in your eyes. You still cling to this idea that you're special, that your God chose you. That you're here to, what, eradicate evil? To protect that which your God created? Certainly you see that we are different. Certainly you see that we are just as flawed, though, as he kind of looks out the window, those out there. Do you see that we are a microcosm, driven by this desire to destroy when we could create? I used to be like you, not wanting to participate. But when you have enough things taken from you, you realize the only way to win is to take those things back.
So what does it mean to win? If you are tired of this game, tired of its rules, what is there for you to gain still? If we are like them, why seek people like us?
Because like them, we love. And I want to be with the one that I loved again. And you mistake me. I don't intend on winning the game. I just want to be with her again. So whether that means taking the one's head that took her, or him taking mine, don't you see the goal is still achieved? I will be with her. But in order to get to him, I do need power. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill you. And then once that's done, and he turns to Mateo, I'm going to kill you. I do not revel in this. I just need it.
Oh, Tiberius. Fascinating stuff. Really. I mean, just a thrill ride. Fallen gods, a loved one taken from you, revenge. I just wanted to share a drink and tell a story.
You shared a drink, and I told a story.
You've got me there.
So I challenge you. And he slowly, just kind of shifts his shoulders, and his trench coat, falls off and reaches behind his back, and a small round shield comes out. Reaches over his shoulder, and he slowly draws out a spatha.
You do cling to the past, don't you?
Yes.
You really had a shield under there. Wow.
It's gotta be warm.
Trench coats are amazing.
Thank you. One modern luxury, at least, if nothing else. Mateo, I'm at a bit of a loss here.
I agree.
She reaches down and finishes the whiskey. Would you like to dance, or shall I?
Oh, you know me. I don't mind sloppy seconds.
Brother, please. Okay, before we begin, she reaches for her rapier. I'm sorry, Mars, Volk. I understand your gods have fallen, but once your mortal coil is let loose from this world, allow us to say something in your honor, please, just as a sign of respect.
What would you like to say?
something besides here lies Tiberius, the idiot who walked into us and we took his head from him. He challenged God's chosen and fell on the spot. I'm trying. Mateo is teaching me patience. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be more empathetic. Please.
She really is trying. There's a lovely tale there. We could fought for a fallen love, always dedicated to war, correct? If my education doesn't fail me. The god of war.
Yes.
Yet you bring war to those who are just looking for peace. Oh, so be it. Old ways, right?
They die the hardest.
Tell me this one thing. What was their name?
Her name was Brenna. And at one time she was worried she wouldn't be able to rejoin her people because of this condition. She wouldn't be able to be with her ancestors and enjoy that which she so rightly deserved. I hope that she is with her people.
Now see, she
And I
read
hope
that.
to help you rejoin yours.
Having just finished the glass, she will nod at hearing that, and knowing that the one she poured for Tiberius is still full, she will refill hers slightly and an extra and just kind of slide it down the desk to Mateo before raising it to Brenna.
Brenna.
Calls the rapier. Let's do this, man. Not where I thought this was going, and I'm here for it.
Okay.
I'm looking to Greg.
Okay, so as the fight continues, I'm assuming for space reasons you're heading out into the warehouse where, you know...
I
Yeah,
think-
Tiberius is already
It's a
backed out.
cinematic warehouse thing going on.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
back into the warehouse.
Yeah. So as you go out into the preferred battleground of the Immortals, when you get out into the area, I need to know, is this 1v1 or are we...
Oh, we're going to say Luciano the shit out of
Well,
us.
I was going to
Okay.
say, this is okay. All right.
I mean, I'm going to stand beside like I'm waiting, but then...
Right, gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you where Loredana's at. Loredana's going to have this fight just as a fight. Mateo, you do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah, Mateo's going to do what he's going to have to do.
Greg will do what he's going to do as well. So what we're going to do for our very first round of combat is, since we have multiple people, Bird, you will see that on your character sheet, underneath your intellect attacks, you have several bold attacks. I have added those in there. These are what we call the clash round. This enables us to bypass a lot of the mechanics because there's not very many of them for PvP Cypher system. So I put in these, which are Duel of Swords, based off of the very old Red Dragon Inn on AOL Online. This is basically a 5-choice rock, paper, scissors. Certain ones of these will benefit you. Certain ones of these will better another. So what I would like you to do at this point is, whoever's fighting in this initial round, which I'm guessing is Loredana, and which I'm guessing is Pruitt, I would like you all to, let me see, I should have if you guys want to know what the matrix is for the dueling, it is posted inside the Roll20. What I would like you to do is, I'm going to have you pick one of these. You are going to cast this as an attack on the count of 3. We will see how this fares, and then we will administer damage. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and on 3, I would like you to put out one of those attacks. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so with a thrust and with a feint, the thrust beats the feint, and so with the thrust down, that would be 4 damage to the Roman. As the Roman goes to offer up a feint, the thrust from the rapier is able to grip into the side. However, as first blood has been delivered, and yes, go ahead, bud.
Well, it doesn't though, because I have armor.
With the clash rounds, all armor's bypassed. But
right. Okay, never mind.
Right.
Sorry.
Just so you know, for this, we started with the clash round as everything is drilling down into a battle of the immortals, whether it be 1v1 or 2v1. It's at that moment that all three of you hear a dog barking. And you hear, Highball, come here. And you see 7 men enter into the warehouse laughing and talking. Hey, and these are all men that the twins recognize as members of the same faction that they are currently dealing with. What? Is that guy got a sword? That guy's got a sword. A fucking sword. You see a fucking sword that guy's got? He's got a fucking shield. What are you guys having some type of party?
Place your bets.
Right. They all walk forward and the dog kind of runs around. It gets chained up onto the side as, hey, stay there, Highball, stay there. And they walk over and these 7 men are standing there. This is something. Everybody, did you bring a sword? I didn't bring a fucking sword. Just at that point, 4 other men come into the warehouse, 2 dressed as police officers. They are all carrying Tommy guns. And before anyone has a chance to do anything, the event that is known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre occurs. 7 bodies of the men that just walked into the area hit the floor, as do the bodies of the twins, as does the body of Tiberius. The only one to survive, well, longer than a few hours, is the dog known as Highball. And he is no rat. And Highball said nothing. But when everyone comes to, as the rightful police show up to assess this horrific event, more time passes, but not quite so much, as we end the twins' tale. Well, hello, friends, as we are back, not in 1929 Chicago. It is February 14th, 1980. We are in the last evening for that glittering Gomorrah known as Studio 54. Studio 54 is, though in its decline, still the temple that it's always been to decadence here in Midtown Manhattan, where before preachers and Captain Kangaroo delivered their sermons to adult and child alike inside the fabled walls of the studio, for the last 4 years, debauchery has reigned supreme. And among that group, and among the disco of the day, New York has become quite a happening spot for the immortals, as Sarah McLeod and Tiberius are both in city, and both under rather strange circumstances were delivered invitations signed by none other than the owner of Studio 54, Steve Rubel. Invitations to attend the very last party at Studio 54. But invitations like these could be gifted and thrown away. It's the way it was signed. Steve Rubel, player of the game. And so, as we go to Studio 54, as we meet what has become of the twins, let us have Tiberius and Sarah meet outside together on this cold Valentine's Day.
Yeah. She would definitely be interested in this invitation. And I think that she would have struggled for a while if she wanted to go to something so public and somebody who obviously is a player in this game. But I think knowing if she knew that she was going to potentially see Tiberius again, that would be worth going for her. So yeah, she probably shows up fashionably late. Although I don't know if it's her intention. It's more just this back and forth of, do I go or do I stay behind, or she doesn't know exactly what she's getting herself into.
Mm-hmm. And as she arrives, she would probably see Tiberius out front, smoking a cigarette, wearing a large, like, fur coat. Just nothing but like bulk. Actually, it looks more like a Roman general than he just has this fur-lined thing, just kind of like drapes off of his shoulders. But he's just there, just outside smoking a cigarette. And just like as your cab or whatever pulls up, he's just literally like watching it from down the street as you pull up.
She gets out and she's dressed up for the occasion. Definitely appropriate for the party. And she smiles when she sees you. Not letting on how anxious this entire thing has made her. And she just walks over. It's good to see you.
You too. It's been far too long. And he gives her a hug, and she would feel his shield and sword down his back. If she did give him a full embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And also the feeling of like armor under his clothes and his suit. How have you been?
I've been making it. Come prepared for a fight then.
Well, if someone plays the game, I want to be ready to play too.
I don't know that I can take it tonight, but we'll see.
Why is that?
So tired of it.
Tired of what? The killing?
She nods a little bit.
I understand. I am as well. It is senseless thing. But like moths to the flame, we are drawn inexorably. To think. And he kind of like, at this he looks up at the stars. Maybe if you can actually like maybe see one through the light pollution. All of that out there. And we all squabble here on this little dust, this moat.
Don't know quite what to expect.
No. Probably blood and death. It is all that it has been.
Tiberius, it's at that time that you would start to feel a a pool. And you probably are feeling a lot of it in this particular area. New York's, it's bad for your radar because you have an extended range. So you're pinging almost constantly, or what an immortal would feel as being constant. You know, you're not usually in this dense a population. But as you are in front of Studio 54, the pulse gets stronger. And then, Sarah, you feel it as well as the doors open up and a man in a leisure suit comes out. Long hair kind of pulled back and bouncing off his shoulders, the remnants of cocaine on his upper lip as he comes out. And if the New York Post is to be believed, you are looking at none other than Steve Rubell, the owner of Studio 54. And as he walks up, he says, "Hey, come on in." And he opens the door. "The last night of Gomorrah. Everybody, come on in." And then as a lot of people start to move, he goes, "No, no." And he points to everyone but the two of you. "You're all too ugly. You're never going to get in here. It's never going to happen. Ever. It's the last night. You can't go out. Go. Go. No, I'm serious. Go." And then he motions to the two of you to come in.
She just kind of inclines her head and shrugs a little bit and heads on in.
Tiberius motions for Sarah to move in. Follows up.
A man that is definitely pinging in the immortal range. Steve turns around and he's still laughing at the poor bastards that will never see the inside of Studio 54, as this is its last night. He puts, if allowed, an arm through Sarah's and an arm through Tiberius, almost like the Dorothy to your Cowardly Lion and Scarecrow, as he's leading you into his Oz. "Welcome, welcome! Last night of the Immortals." And Studio 54 is displayed in front of you. And as you pass through the long hallway and into Studio 54 proper, you feel another ping of Immortals, both Sarah and Tiberius, as this is not just the haunt of Steve Rubell, but also of the twins. What are you all up to?
For the last, golly, since it opened almost, the center of this debauchery, this personal, our heaven is now, has been Loredana and Mateo. Early on, our buddy Steve, we sat down, had the talk as two young, rich Italian Eurotrash. Basically, we were part of the show. I mean, we were the young, sexy in Italian suits. The twins were all but an attraction themselves. And we were one of the few people who had our own little set of couches that was known to be where we held court for, 7-8 years from its heyday. And tonight, it's been a great night. It's this last night in heaven, and this week, probably more like it for Loredana and Mateo. And Steve's been especially generous, and truly the last week has been just a haze of sex and coke and alcohol and uppers and downers. Who knows? The twins have been on for so long this last week that whether this is the last night or the first night of the last night, we're not sure, but we are on our couch playing Host of the Stars in our own personal heaven on earth.
And as soon as this scene is delivered with absolutely physically beautiful specimens of the human race from pillar to post, people on roller skates, people in various states of undress, intoxication, or inebriation. Steve will look to both Sarah and Tiberius, and he'll squeeze and say, "It really is. It's heaven. It's heaven on earth, this place. Oh, I tell you, it's the best. Enjoy yourselves. It's the last night, everyone. Everyone. There'll be another night. It's the last night. It's the last night for that guy. Everybody, look, these are two friends. Take care of them. No one's paying tonight because the IRS is going to get it anyway. Everybody, have fun. Have fun. Drink and everything else. I'm on parole." And he walks away.
And Tiberius just grabs a drink off of a tray that goes by. It just it's like whatever. I thought Rome was bad.
It's not what I was expecting.
No, not at all. Dancing has changed a lot over the years.
Just at that moment, almost as if divine intervention, you hear come over the PA system, it is Steve. And Steve goes, "Let's party like we're Caligula up in this motherfucker. Everybody, come on." And then it goes away again.
I think with the sense of that quickening happening, Loredana's been just like face down on this table for a moment, just seemingly completely out of it. But it's the quickening sense and that trigger that happens as she bolts upright again, just powder dripping like all down her face, just like looking wide-eyed for a second, like clenching and then releasing and spotting first Sarah, but then next to Sarah she grabs Mateo perhaps too like strongly around the shoulder, just clenching into him. Look, seeing the drink in his hand, he's developed a personality. It's taken years and years, but he's finally
Do you think
Tiberius, she yells across the bar, across the club, just motioning for him to come this way. She's so excited to see him.
Mateo raises his hand. "Captain Kirk!" Tiberius.
Do you know them? It's like, these people?
She's sorry,
yes.
just real quick, Loredana's like turning to the strangers on the couch next to him and just being like, that guy had a shield. I bet he's got that big ass coat. I bet he still has the shield.
He has the shield?
You should get close. You just give him a big tap on the back and just don't see if it's metal. I bet he's got, oh my God, I can't put.
Yes. I had a run-in with them a while back. We were all filled full of lead. When I awoke, they were gone. And be careful, they will condescend. It is their way. And then he walks over, hand on the back, just kind of like heading over, just being in public right now.
Yeah, she'd come along interested, because obviously she feels it too. And I don't think she's fully prepared for like the amount of energy coming their way. She's very interested in what this entire night is about.
And he'll kind of like lean down as they're approaching and just kind of be like, "Be careful. These are the ones that Ramirez warned us about."
She nods and I'm not looking for a fight, like I said.
Yes, but it always seems to find us. And with that, we'll kind of enter the VIP section that they're at, and he'll just kind of motion for...
Yeah, we make room for you. It's like carnival all over again. I even brought a mask. And literally, St. Luciano's mask is on the table.
You see several people get up to give you all space to sit down if you would like. David Bowie, Rick James stand up and move out of the way as their seats are given to you.
Mm-hmm.
I taught him how to do that eye makeup thing.
So Tiberius, what's up? Who's your friend? Does she have a name that's more normal and just timely than yours? Please tell me. Are you still Tiberius? Are you T? Big T, Mr. T these days? What are you going
Mr.
by?
T, that works great, man.
Right.
Yes, I considered it, but no, Tiberius, still.
I'm Sarah.
God, you're such a Roman.
Sarah. Oh, beautiful name. Beautiful name. Beautiful. You. Tell me all about you. What is your story? What's your special little name? How long have you been with this one?
Well, we've just met back up, but I don't really have a story.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, I doubt that. Oh, please, by all means, let's. She takes a mirror and kind of bangs it against the table and shoves a little of that powder towards Sarah's way, and just kind of very fervently is like offering it, but also offering it and forgetting how much her hands are moving.
No, I'm all right. Thank you.
Country girl.
She's sweet. She's adorable.
Well, I don't really know where to start. Like I said, it's not much of a story. Just been wondering for a long time.
Tragic loner wandering through world for all time. There was a movie. What was the movie? Didn't we see a movie?
Oh, we did. Well, that guy was here earlier. Oh, what is that? Do you guys see a movie?
It was great. It was great. Just, they spent their life wandering and trying to find their purpose. And, because that goes on like forever. Aren't you just the most tragic little thing? Huh?
Tragic wanderer and the heartbroken fool. This is you two. You two. So, what brings two absolute firecrackers of people like yourselves here tonight? This.
An invitation
Yes.
for the game.
You two know nothing of this invitation.
Certainly you got your invitation.
We never really leave.
But the game. Is there something happening in the city tonight? Some little meeting, some little tete-a-tete again?
You could say that, definitely. In fact, we're probably having a little bit of it right now.
I'd like every one of my immortals to roll me an intellect check. Anything perception-based that gives you a bonus, that would help.
Oh no, wait a second.
I have some shit.
I know you do.
What about navigation?
I'll take it. No.
I have a skill called small details. You have an
Yes.
detail training, blah, blah, blah.
150%.
Okay.
Okay. It is first Sarah, and then the twins, perhaps. Sarah, you look around and you see, as people begin to go outside doors, the balcony is completely empty. You see that the bartenders slowly kind of creep back and close the doors. And within 5 minutes, even as the music continues to play and the lights continue to flash and the disco ball continues to cast its images, you're alone except for one other person. Over the PA. I'm really sorry. They said that I'd been helping you, so they were gonna hold me accountable for everything too, so, Matt, Laura, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
This is the weirdest thing he's done, right? This is he's done many weird things. If this is a joke, I don't get it.
He
but
filled
I'm
this place
excited.
up with water once. It was great.
Oh no. Okay, Steve, you got bring out
Crazy
whatever
guy.
surprise. That guy's crazy. That guy's great. Have you met Steve? Did you meet Steve? You walked in with Steve. You've met Steve.
Tiberius kind of looks at Summer and just like, see what I mean?
Tiberius, you feel it first. And for maybe a moment, you feel that you finally found Onye, as the power that's coming towards you is the strongest you've ever felt. But then you realize it's coming from in front of you, to the sides of you, behind you, all around. As the doors that were used to exit behind the bar and the balcony and the dance floor and the stage open again, as shadowy figures come out, many of them wearing long coats like your very own, and each of them pinging that immortal bent. And they just stand there.
Shouldn't have come.
Well, it appears we might be allies before we are enemies once again.
This isn't you, huh? This isn't you? This isn't...
No.
I believe we are the target, the four of us.
You see a figure step forward onto the stage as the music cuts, but the lights continue to swirl, illuminating only edges, only the geometry driven by hoods and hats. But this figure, a woman, pulls back the hood, revealing brilliant green eyes. That's them. Those are the ones that killed my father. And she points to Tiberius and Sarah. Roman, Highlander, there is no quarrel with you. It is with Saint Luciano.
Ah. For them breaking the rules. Very well. And Tiberius, like, steps back and away.
Yeah, Sarah does the same. She's up and out of the way, standing next to Tiberius. She probably grabs onto his arm.
And he kind of, his arms are crossed, and he just kind of like, puts a reassuring hand on hers. They broke the rules.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Well, when filled with righteous indignation, one does many things they regret later. Only at the end do they know it's regret.
Tiberius, Sarah, the twins, you would hear a ripple as the absence of music still in this area echoes, but it is a ripple of cloth as jackets and some raincoats are pulled aside, revealing hilts of sabers and swords, of glaive, as edged weapons of every variety, every spot on the globe are produced. And the woman on the stage with the green eyes pulls out 2 rapiers. We've come for you.
I look to Loredana, and much like the Valentine's Day centuries ago, grab her forearm, and while we are living our heaven, we also don't go places unarmed. From inside the couch, her in her left hand, me in my right, take out our rapiers. From on the table, I put on my mask of St. Luciano. I assume Loredana has hers close by.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit sticky, but yes, she does put it on.
That's what makes it stay. And we stride to the middle of the dance floor that has been our heaven for the last decade. Back to back. Arms clenching each other, more important than any sword swipe we would make. And we face this surrounding horde of immortals.
And fight them you do, as they descend in mass. And as you even score a blow on some nameless eternal, as the lightning strikes down, always taking the 2 of you. As the twin branches hit, and for that moment where the ecstasy and the pain of the quickening strikes, the rest of the horde does not relent. And they strike true. But in these final moments where the energy of countless ages and countless immortals courses through the 2 of you, again like on the bricks by the red columns, you have a moment to look at one another through the masks. What do you do?
It's been centuries since that feeling. It's been hundreds of years. But for the first time since they fell from that roof, Loredana feels doubt, feels fear, feels loss, and though it happens quick, this time feels like it goes on forever for a moment. She does something that she's never done before, understanding that they aren't immortal. She prays for forgiveness.
Mateo looks over, still holding her arm, and looks into her eyes, seeing her forming the words of this prayer, and goes, "Shh. It is just men enforcing the laws that they have made. They are breaking their own rules to play their game." I look to her eyes, and my eyes tips, "Look, sister. The red columns are here too." And actually in Studio 54, there are 2 tall neon columns that have turned red as they lay on the dance floor in the shadow of 2 red columns. And I sort of smile and go, seems as though we're the ones that have brought their game now to an end.
She clenches your hand one last time before it all ends and just whispers, our heaven awaits.
Our heaven awaits.
And as the moment comes and passes, Tiberius and Sarah, you would see the quickening as it is dispersed among. Even you get a few glimpses of the lives of the twins, of the heaven on earth, of the enforcement of God's rules. Just a hint of their lives. And across the world in Venice, the red columns that still stand split in sunder. No one knows why. But they broke on St. Valentine's Day. As did the twins. But they were right about one thing. Because in this singular quickening that touches all of these gathered immortals, that touches the entire Isle of Manhattan, something begins. Something starts among the entire race of the long-lived. Something powerful.
Want to be kings, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting to survive in a world with the darkest powers. And here we are, we're the princes.
And so with that beginning, as the gathering hits Manhattan, Ramirez always said that a force would pull all of the immortals to a faraway land. It seems that force was the twins. And that is where we will end this session of Highlander, If on a Winter's Night. Thank you, friends.
Dude,
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
that was awesome.
Summer and Pruitt, that was awesome. Thank you guys so much for having us.
That was super duper fun. Great, great, great. Let's go around and talk to everybody, and then I have some closing comments. And let's start with let's start with the Highlander. Summer, not Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm doing super good. That was so enjoyable to watch unfold. I love these garbage twins. They're so good. They're, oh my gosh. I just, it was great. Thank you all so much for telling us that story. It was awesome. Yeah, I'm Summer. You can find me on Twitter at Just a Summer Job. It's where I retweet everything that I'm doing. So if you're interested in seeing me in other shows, just check me out there.
Fantastic, fantastic. All links in chat, both to Just a Summer Job and Off the Table. I would suggest, if you're not already, follow both of those things, because those things will make you happy. Speaking about something that makes me happy, Pruitt, how are you, my friend? And Tiberius makes it to the gathering.
I did. Sorry for jumping the gun back in the 20s. He's a changed man, so these things happen. But yeah, this is freaking awesome. I love everything about this story. And yes, these Eurotrash twins creating what Eurotrash is before it even existed. I love it. It's so great. I love all the very similar responses to being an immortal by all of the immortals. And then how they respond to that initial reaction. It's something I've noticed with everyone. Anyway, so, but yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next week. Just have to wait and see.
That's right, buddy. And where can we find you online?
Well, I am one half of WebDM. You can find our videos on YouTube, where we do DM, D&D, tabletop role-playing advice videos. We also have games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday on the Twitch. And, we also have a Patreon if you want to check that out. But yeah, playing a few other games. But, I can't wait to be back here next week to see how we finish this off.
Sounds good. And let's jump over to our twins. Fantastic job, my friends. Tall, let's start with you. How did you enjoy your time? Where can we find you, my friend?
Oh, had a blast. It was so much fun to be able to share our crazy little story of these twins and how they sort of moved through the ages. What a blast. And thanks. I love the twist at the end. I was kind of like, who was the immortal I felt back there at the Doge? Oh yeah, the one who's going to kill us. Great. That was awesome. And you can find me all over the internet as Tall Squall. And on Saturdays at 2:00 Eastern time, you can watch me DM my own campaign called The Vice, which will be having episode 101 the first Saturday of May. We're taking a couple weeks off. After 100 episodes, we figured we needed a little bit of a... Anyway, this was awesome, Greg. Thank you so much for inviting me along on this journey. It has been amazing.
Oh, thank you, buddy. And please, if you haven't, like I said, if you haven't followed any of these people, I am doing you a huge favor. Go follow these links right now, and you will never be upset with me. And for I loved Loredana so much.
The better of the two twins by far.
No. The response and the cackle at Tiberius's tragic story was one of the harshest effing things I've ever seen in roleplay. It was so delicious. Bird, my friend, great job. Where can we find you online?
Thank you so much. I wanted to make the Euro trashiest twins the most easily hateable person I could. So thank you for saying that. That was so much fun. Thank you guys again for having us. That was a blast, and I can't wait to roll with y'all again someday. I'm Bird vs. Plane. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at that. I'm a charity streamer who plays in a ton of different games. Everything on my channel goes to charity, so if you can, pop in, drop a follow, drop anything you can, but also donations are appreciated but never required. Just come hang out, be cool, be chill, and have some fun with us.
Fantastic, my friend. And thank you all so very much for coming here with this collaborative actual play narrative. It is fantastic to sit back and hear the story as it unfolds, even though I know a couple key points. Seeing it play out and seeing the twins in Studio 54 is worth the price of admission. That was, just Pruitt put it up in backstage chat. I said, God damn, when Lord Donald was like, whoa, and that's you can see the movie. And I love that. I'm Grimjack21502 on the Twitter, Tales from the Grim team here on the Twitch. For Highlander, the gathering is here. And what I would like right now is for Summer and Pruitt to roll me a D20 in Roll20.
Oh, shit.
We are setting up our brackets right now.
Okay. Oh, no.
I'm a 4 seed. That's good, right?
Yeah.
It's better than a fucking 2.
Alrighty, so that will play into how things progress. We are going to have, there is a de facto final 4 here. We have a nameless immortal NPC, potentially, and we have the Highlander, the Mad Eagle, and the Roman. We will see who, in fact, wins the prize next time on Highlander, if on a winter's night. I once again thank this incredible group of friends for showing up and being so great. And I thank you, Legion, for showing up on a Sunday afternoon and being so great. And also, our fallen Celt, thank you for being so great. And our Mad Eagle, thank you for being so delicious. We'll see you all next week. Take it easy and I don't know. Be kind to one another. We'll see you.
I'm standing